Welcome to the podcast Mining Matters, where you can dig a little deeper into developing your English speaking skills as a mining or minerals processing industry professional with me, Kirsten. Each month I will dive into one topical issue affecting the mining and the mineral processing industries. You can listen to a short discussion of the topic by me, and then I will explore some of the background of the vocabulary and the grammar that I chose to use. You can then develop your own discussion of the topic and use these examples to deepen your understanding and bring you closer to English fluency. Now you can choose to record yourself at home and keep the recordings as a record to observe your own improvement. Or you could join my speaking program, get some personal and private feedback from me, while joining in some lively and insightful conversations with other industry processing professionals. I promise you will see your skills transform in ways you never expected, while having fun. Now check out my website in the link for more information about the speaking program and to see if it is right for you. If it is not, I am glad you could join me anyway, and I hope you find the support and motivation you were looking for here. This month we are going to be discussing environmental stewardship in the mining industry. Now, as an industry professional, I hope you have some idea of what this term means, but let's dig a little deeper into the true essence of the term. Environmental stewardship. Let's start with the word stewardship. What does it even mean? To be honest, I am a native speaker of English and I've worked in this industry for more than 25 years. I know what environmental stewardship is, as I've come to grasp the ideas behind it through seeing it used in context. But even I had to look up the meaning of the word stewardship to make sure I fully grasped the complexity and nuances of the word. Now, it comes from the word steward. Steward is a noun, and it means someone who is tasked with looking after something. It's also a verb, and it means to manage or to look after something. And stewardship is the actual job of looking after or managing something. Again, a noun. Now, one clever trick to really see if you have understood the meaning of the word correctly is to look for synonyms and antonyms. And actually, this is exactly what I did. Synonyms are the words that have similar meaning. And I found there were so many. I found guardianship, control, protection, administration, supervision, and so many more. And I found the antonyms, or the words with the opposite meaning, to be carelessness, neglect, and negligence. So for the purpose of this activity, let's use the meaning of to take care of or to care for stewardship. I think it works really well here. So environmental stewardship can also be called taking care of the environment. Now you will see environmental stewardship used in annual reports and on company web pages, but it isn't really a term we use in conversation. Can you think of what this might be? Well, it is hard to pronounce, I agree, but actually the word is very formal. And when we have conversations, when we speak, yes, even at work, we tend to be more informal than written English. And actually, to care for or to take care of is much more conversational. Okay, so now we understand that environmental stewardship refers to the many actions that are taken to conserve, protect, and create a more sustainable environment. But what does this actually cover in the mining industry? Well, I think it's safe to say that it is impossible to remove minerals from the earth and process them without impacting the air, land, water, as well as plant and animal life to some extent. Maybe it's a little impact, maybe it's a bit bigger than that. The goal of environmental stewardship in the mining industry is to minimize the temporary disruption of the environment during exploration and production, and to maximize the restoration of ecosystems at the end of mine life. So let's say that again. Minimize the temporary disruption and maximize the restoration or repair at end of mine life. Historically, the perception has been that mining companies have only paid lip service to environmental stewardship. That, in fact, profits has been the only metric that mattered, and that concern for the protection of the environment has just been a cost of ongoing business. The industry has been accused of greenwashing for decades. But has this started to change lately? Is there evidence that the mining and mineral processing industries have started to act more like the steward that they have been directed to be? Let's explore this in the next podcast episode. Was there some challenging vocabulary in this episode? We explored the term environmental stewardship in a lot of detail, and just to recap, environmental stewardship can also be called taking care of the environment. But some other words you may have struggled with: disruption. I mentioned minimize the temporary disruption. A disruption is any disturbance or a problem which can interrupt an event or a process. I use the word restoration to maximize the restoration or repair at the end of my life. Now, to restore something, the action, the verb is to restore, is to return something to a former condition. So restoration is the action of returning something to a former condition. It's actually a little bit different to repair. We're not just fixing the problem, we're putting it back to the way it was before. Okay, I talked about perception. The perception has been that mining companies... Perception has two different meanings. The first meaning, the most common meaning, is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through using your senses. Human perception. But actually, I used it in the second meaning. That is, the way in which something is regarded or understood or interpreted. The interpretation has been that mining companies and lip service. So the perception has been that mining companies have only paid lip service to environmental stewardship. That's an idiom. And it means to express approval of or support for something without taking any significant action. So you speak it, it comes off your lips, but you don't do it. We pay lip service, meaning we say we're going to value something, but we don't do it. And that actually matches the last term that I wanted to highlight, greenwashing. The industry has been accused of greenwashing for decades. You may have seen this, I've seen this a lot in the last few years, this term. Greenwashing means activities that make people believe a company is doing more to protect the environment than it really is. You make it look more green than it really is by painting or washing. Did you feel the language style used in this podcast was a little different to my previous episodes? That the language was more formal than usual? In fact, it was. Now, language is a part of your professional image. And we use formal speech when we need to use ethical, respectful, and inclusive communication. We commonly go more formal when we're discussing topics that are especially serious or are likely to have extremely different opinions. And so you will find that this entire series may sound more formal to you, and that is by design.